Hello everyone, and welcome to Financial Education Fridays. My name is Jim. I'm one of the instructors here at Penn, and we'll be having these video recordings every Friday. So welcome to the first one. This is based upon, the beginning here is based upon the book How an Economy Grows and Why It Crashes by Peter D. Schiff. You'll be able to find the link to purchase the book from Amazon below this video in the posting. Just click on the link and you'll be able to check out that book. Um, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take it piece by piece, week by week, and go through the story of how an economy grows and why it crashes. And the reason why I'm going to do this as the beginning of Financial Education Fridays is because people really, I don't want this to be an economics class, but you have to understand what economics is because it affects your life every single day. For example, right now there's basically two schools of thought. One is a Keynesian school of thought, and this school of thought is all about spending. Okay, this is what is being taught in our colleges when you take your macroeconomics and your microeconomics class. The other school of thought is Austrian. Right? This one is much less known, right? And this is about savings. Right? Now, obviously, why is Keynesian much more popular than Austrian, and why is Keynesian part of our college curriculums? Well, if it's all about spending, people like to spend, so it became popular. The guy's name was John Maynard Keynes. He was actually an English professor who was writing, and he came up with this idea. He really didn't have that much training, formal education in economics, but at that time in the early 1900s, he came up with this idea, published a paper, and politicians jumped all over it because the idea was to print money, and we're going to spend in order to create growth in our economy. Whereas the Austrian school of thought, which is led by Ludwig von Mises, um, it was about savings, and people really don't like to save. All right, but you'll see how this all comes into play as we get further and further into our discussion. So, eraser. Let me erase all of this here. So, if those are the two schools of thought, Keynesian, which advocates spending, and Austrian, which advocates savings, this book here, How an Economy Grows and Why It Crashes, will kind of give you a basic understanding of uh, economics and how everything kind of works. When you take the classes for macroeconomics and microeconomics in college, you learn about all the concepts and theories like supply and demand, GDP, but it doesn't put the pieces together. I mean, it teaches you different pieces, but it doesn't put the whole puzzle together. And so what I thought I'd do is I'd spend some time uh, showing a basis of how an economy actually grows. So to do this in the book, Peter Schiff, apparently his father was, he was an economist also, and he would teach him when they drive in the car and things like this. He would pass this story along to his two sons, and Peter wrote this book passing along the story. So you can read the book, but I'm going to also uh, highlight some of the ideas in the book and try to give you a stream of thought as to how this all works. So to begin with, he starts with an island, okay? And this island, all there is there's just trees and sand, and it's surrounded by all kinds of water and everything like this. And on the island, there's three people. There's Abel, Baker, and Charlie. Now, Abel, Baker, and Charlie, being on this island all secluded and isolated, we're going to make some assumptions, and let's make the assumption that each and every, obviously they have to live, so they need food, and they decide to catch fish. But it's difficult to catch fish. So every day when they're out there, trying to catch the fish, they're only able to catch one fish each, right? And that sustains them for the day. So every day, what they produce, the one fish, they consume it. Right? Now, if they do this day in and day out, yeah, they're getting by, but they're really not improving the quality of their life. They have dreams and aspirations just like the rest of us, but they're not able to save, and since they don't have anything that they can save, they really can't invest. They can't, they can't get a line of credit. I mean, because they're consuming everything that they produce. But since they all want a better life, things like clothes and shelter and, whatever their dreams and wishes are to be able to do whatever they want to do, the question becomes, how do they produce more than what they're already doing? Um, so one night when they were just looking up at the stars, Abel gets this idea, right, about a fish catcher. Now, a fish catcher basically is a net, right? But here's the thing. If he spends the time to build this net, he's going to give up. Let's say it takes him one day to do it. He's going to starve for one day. He's not going to be producing, that food for the one day in order to be able to produce the net. So yeah, he's going to go hungry. So what he's doing is he's sacrificing, right? In order to, um, in order to have the hopes of being able to produce more. He doesn't know if this net is going to work, um, but he decides to take a chance. As he thinks about it, if he gets this and if he can catch more fish in less time, well, what that means is he'll have an abundance and he'll be able to save that abundance. Okay, he's able to produce more. So he decides, yeah, I'm going to do this. So the next day, he gives up fishing for the one fish that he's going to consume. Now Baker and Charlie, they think he's crazy, because he's going to starve, trying to build this net. He doesn't know if it's going to work, or whatever have you. But that's risk and reward. Okay, he's taking the risk, hopefully, to build this thing, which would reward him. And when he does build this net, okay, he's able to actually produce, get two fish. He's able to catch two fish for the day, whereas the both of them, Baker and Charlie, are only able to catch one. So that means now he can eat one and he has an excess of one fish. Okay? Now, what he's just done is he's created capital, and he created the capital through sacrifice and saving. Okay, so now what does he do with that savings? Okay, I mean, he's getting, he's able to produce 2 days of food for 1 day's worth of work. So what is he going to do with those extra fish? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the subject of our next Financial Education Fridays. Think about this, give it some thought, and realize that this affects your life also. You're in the same exact position as Abel, Baker, and Charlie. You go to work every day. Okay, you work, you get paid, and you can either produce and you can either consume or you can save what you have. All right. If you save, then you have excess, and as I said, that'll be part of our next video as to what you can do with the excess. But if you're consuming all of the time, then you're just like Baker and Charlie. Every day you're on that treadmill. I produce, I consume, produce, consume. And then the question becomes, what happens if you get sick and you can't produce? Right? So anyway, I hope you liked this video so far. And if you did, like it down on the bottom. And then stay tuned in for next week, Financial Education Fridays. Every Friday I'm going to be posting one of these. All right, so give this some thought, think about how it affects your life, and we'll see you then. All right, thanks, and have a great day.